I never thought a single weekend at home would change the way I saw everything, my family, my past, even myself. But that's exactly what happened. And it all started the moment I came back from college and saw her. It was Friday afternoon. The house was quiet, just like always when Dad was out of town. His business trips had become routine, so it didn't surprise me when I learned he'd be gone again. It was just me and Andrea, my stepmom. Andrea was only about 10 years older than me. She'd married Dad when I was 16. Back then, people whispered about how young she was for him and how incredible she looked. I'd never let myself think much about it. She was Dad's wife, and that made her off-limits in every way. Or at least, that's what I told myself. When she opened the door that evening, she smiled and pulled me into a hug. It lasted a second longer than I expected. "Look at you," she said, her voice warm and teasing. "You've really grown up." I laughed awkwardly, brushing it off. She looked effortlessly casual: yoga pants, a loose tank top, hair pulled into a messy bun, no makeup, just that natural glow she always had. I told myself it was just her being comfortable. Still, something about it made the air feel different. She offered to make dinner. "You've probably been living off instant noodles," she joked. I followed her into the kitchen, watching her move around with the same quiet confidence she'd always had. The smell of garlic and butter filled the air as we talked about college, my classes, friends, and the usual stuff. She poured herself a glass of wine, handed me a soda, and for a while, it just felt normal. But the way she laughed at my stories, the way her eyes lingered a second too long, it wasn't lost on me. There was something unspoken hanging in the space between us. After dinner, we moved to the couch to watch a movie. She curled up under a blanket, tucking her legs beside her. I sat a safe distance away, but every time I glanced over, the flickering light from the TV seemed to trace her face in a way that made her look even softer, more human. Not just Dad's wife. Halfway through, we both reached for the popcorn at the same time. Our hands brushed. Hers didn't pull away. She smiled a small, knowing smile and whispered, "You're not a kid anymore, Ethan." That sentence echoed in my chest. I tried to laugh it off, make a joke, but she didn't laugh back. She just looked at me, and in that look, something shifted. A few minutes later, her hand brushed against my knee. Maybe it was accidental. Maybe it wasn't. But it felt like a current ran through me. I excused myself, muttering something about needing the bathroom. I stood in front of the mirror, splashing water on my face. My heart was racing. "Get it together," I told myself. "You're imagining things." But when I stepped out and walked quietly down the hall, I stopped. She didn't hear me come back. Andrea was sitting on the couch, holding my phone, the screen lit up in her hand. I must have left it unlocked. When she noticed me, she didn't look guilty. Just amused. "Didn't take you for that kind of guy," she said. My stomach dropped. "What kind of guy?" She tilted her head, smiling faintly. "The kind with interesting photos." I froze, heat rushing to my face. "Andrea." "Relax," she interrupted, setting the phone down. "I'm not going to tell your dad. Honestly, I'm impressed." I sat down a little further away, but she didn't let the space last long. She slid closer, her voice softer now. "You've really filled out since the last time you were home. College must be treating you well." I didn't know what to say. Every word seemed dangerous. She leaned in slightly, her eyes searching mine. "Do you ever wonder," she said slowly, "what it would be like to be with someone older? Someone who actually knows what they want?" My pulse roared in my ears. I laughed nervously. "Is that the wine talking?" "Maybe," she said, with a smirk that made my throat dry. "Or maybe I've just been thinking too much lately." The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was full. Of everything we weren't supposed to say or do. Then she reached out and rested her hand on my chest. It wasn't an accident this time. My breath caught. "You're not a kid anymore," she whispered. And before I could even process it, she kissed me. Soft. Hesitant at first. Then real. Too real. I didn't stop her. The world seemed to fall away, the house, the rules, everything. For a few seconds, there was only her. The warmth of her breath, the weight of everything unspoken. When she finally pulled back, her eyes searched mine. "You didn't start this," she said quietly. "And you're not doing anything wrong." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to pretend it wasn't a betrayal. But it was. We didn't go further than that, but we didn't have to. That moment was enough to change everything between us. Later that night, I fell asleep on the couch, heart pounding, guilt pressing against my chest. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of her humming in the kitchen. The smell of coffee filled the air. She was acting like nothing had happened. Like the night before had been a dream. "Eggs or toast?" she asked casually without looking at me. I watched her back, wondering if she remembered. Wondering if she felt what I felt. When I didn't answer, she finally turned and said, calm and collected, "You're overthinking it." Her phone rang before I could say a word. Dad's name lit up on the screen. She smiled, answering in her soft voice. "Hey, baby. Yeah, everything's great here. Quiet night. He's just waking up." When she hung up, she set the phone down and met my eyes for the first time that morning. "We don't talk about it," she said firmly. "It happened. That's it." I nodded, because what else could I do? She smiled faintly, as if that made everything fine. But it didn't. Because from that moment on, no matter how normal things looked on the surface, I couldn't unsee the way she looked at me, or forget what happened when I came back from the bathroom. And that changed everything.